The Culture Pop Podcast is brought to you by the law offices of Jacob Emrani.
Accident or injury, call Jacob Emrani. Call Jacob.
Hey, it's Mase. If you or a friend or loved one is injured in an accident, the first person you should call is my friend Jacob. When I did this, Jacob was great. He helped me by talking through the next steps, which really put my mind at ease. When you're injured in an accident, you got to have an expert. That's why you call Jacob, just like I did. Call Jacob, 844-24-JACOB. That's 844-24-JACOB, or visit calljacob.com.
Call Jacob.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Culture Pop Podcast. I'm Steve Mason, along with Sue 𝐋𝐢𝐥𝐤𝐓. This is the show where we talk about everything happening in the world of pop culture. Great show today. Lili Taylor is going to join us. She's done so many great things. We'll talk to her about all of it, including her latest project, which is Outer Range, Season 2, now streaming on Prime. Sue, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent. So guess what I did last night?
I think I know.
Do you? What do you think?
Did you go to the premiere of Clipped?
I did. I went to the premiere of Clipped, which is executive produced by our friend Ramona Shelburne, one of my dearest friends, and I could not be more excited for it. The show is gonna be great. The casting is fantastic. Jackie Weaver as Shelley Sterling is terrific. Lawrence Fishburne as Doc Rivers. I can't think of anybody who would be better to play Doc Rivers. Ed O'Neill is great as Donald Sterling, and then the woman that plays the woman that plays V. Stiviano is also terrific. Her name is, let me make sure I get it right, Cleopatra Coleman. She is terrific. I think the show is going to do really, really well. It's got so many different storylines. There's so many different layers to it. So there's the element of power that Donald Sterling. There's the element of race, and he was just the worst friggin' racist you can imagine. There's the story of how those players and how that team dealt with the story as it unraveled and became public. And maybe they were even considering at one point pulling out of a playoff game to protest Donald's. The whole thing is just great. It is going to be on FX and on Hulu, and could not recommend it more strongly.
I saw the trailer, and
yes,
and it's based on her piece, right? And her podcast, right?
Yeah, it's based on her podcast, The Sterling Affairs, which is from, now you think about it, it's like 10 years ago. So it's now a big time TV series. But it's based on her work and her reporting for the podcast, and she won all kinds of awards and stuff for that podcast. And then FX optioned it, and now here it is. It's on TV.
But you know the crazy thing, it's an FX show, but it's not on FX. It's only on Hulu. It's FX on Hulu.
Wait a minute. I thought it aired the first night on FX and then went to Hulu?
Oh, because I looked it up last night because I don't have Hulu, but I will get Hulu to watch it.
Yep.
It said that it's not on FX. Maybe the first show premiered on FX.
Yeah.
It's not on FX.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Well, last night all the FX people spoke, so and the Hulu people spoke.
Well, because it's an FX show.
Right.
That's what's weird about it. It's like an HBO series that's not on HBO.
Yeah. Exactly. It is weird. It is weird. You're going to love it though. You're going to love it. It's just a great, compelling story. By the way, I did a Q&A one time with Jackie Weaver. She is literally this tall. She is
really?
She's such a tiny, and I see them sort of turning things around. She must be standing on boxes, or people must be standing in holes in order to make it look like she's of normal height, but she's a tiny little person and a delightful lady.
And a powerhouse of an actress.
She is, absolutely. So, and I wanted to say one thing. So, I didn't say this on the air, but I'll say it here. Ramona's dad passed away last week. And I feel so bad about it because here she is at this moment in her career where everything has come together. And this is like a pinnacle for her, and for her dad not to be able to be there for it. And for her dad to pass away like in the week before it's going to premiere is so heartbreaking. She was so close to her dad, and I just feel for her and sending her love, and gave her a big hug last night. And there's nothing really to be said except, congratulations on the show, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah, well, not to bring myself into this, but to bring myself into it.
Yes.
My parents passed away before they saw me on TV.
Oh, really?
And that was so sad to me, but I want to believe that wherever they were, they saw me.
Yeah, well, I always say my grandfather, Eugene Santa Cruz, 6th Avenue, Altoona, Pennsylvania. I always say that he asked me one time, do you have one of those stars out there in Hollywood? And I said, no, Grandpap, I don't have one of those. He said, well, when you get one, I'm going to be there. And I always took it to me. I mean, he was a man in his 80s. I always took it to mean that he was going to find a way to be. Now, all I need is a star. I mean, once I get the star, then Grandpap will come visit me. But in the meantime, until somebody pays the $70,000 or whatever it is and nominates me and passes around a petition, I'm not going to get it. So I'm not going to see Grandpap again.
And if you believe in that
pressure.
stuff, well, also, if you believe in that kind of stuff, he'll come to you,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I totally do. So I found this thing that I think is interesting. This is a list of the best-selling musical acts of all time. So let me tell you how they put this together. It's by a group called Chartmasters, and they combine data from studio albums, LPs, physical singles, digital singles, and streaming numbers to create an approximate number of records sold. So I've got a list of 25. So who do you think, again, according to Chartmasters, is the number one selling act of all time?
The Stones?
The Stones is a great guess. They are number 6. Think classic, bigger, all-time. Classic, bigger, all-time recording artist. A group that came over to the U.S. in the 60s. And
the Beatles.
The Beatles, exactly. The Beatles are number one. 424 million records sold. Anybody else you think should be on the list?
Springsteen.
Springsteen is on the list. Springsteen is number 18 on the list. Number 18. So think gigantic albums from my DJ days, including one album with many, many singles on it that included Billie Jean. I mean, Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, of course.
You don't have your thinking shoes on today.
Well, I mean, I guess people that are on the list. So
yeah,
Michael Jackson. Yeah, okay.
He's number 2.
Okay. Oh, and everyone you're saying like number 1 is totally old school?
Yes. Number 1 was Beatles. Number 2 was Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Okay. So, solo artist?
Solo artist. Number 3 is a solo artist. He came up in the late 50s, early 60s, hit his prime and hit Vegas in 72, maybe. Come on.
Not Elvis.
Yeah, Elvis.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Elvis, number 3, 321 million units. I would quiz you further, but I don't think I don't know if you're going to pull any names out here. Number 4 is Queen. 280 million records sold. Madonna is number 5.
Madonna, yeah, okay.
Number 6 is the Stones, as you said. Number 7, and this is true, that when I was a DJ, one time I had to go to McDonald's and get dinner, so I tracked one of their albums. The album was Dark Side of the Moon. Pink Floyd is number 7. You can just put that on and like go to the it's like here's 45 minutes to do whatever you want. I used to love tracking that album. Frank Sinatra is number 8. 231 million sold. Elton John is number 9. Eminem, and I question this list for this reason. There is only one hip-hop artist on it, and it is Eminem. So of all the great rappers in history, only Eminem, the white guy's on the list?
I'm shocked that it's not like Run DMC, Dr.
or
Dre,
Jay-Z.
Yeah. Beastie Boys were huge.
Yeah, sure. Led Zeppelin's number 11. AC/DC is number 12. Who else? My favorite band of all time.
Bon Jovi on there?
Bon Jovi didn't make it, but my favorite band of all time did. U2 is number 13.
Yeah. What about REM?
No, REM was nichier.
Okay.
You got to think like big, like U2, Celine Dion, Rod Stewart, Taylor Swift. How could we miss Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Mariah Carey, the Eagles. Eric Clapton is number 19. Metallica, number 20. Then ABBA, the Bee Gees, Bruce Springsteen, Whitney Houston, and Barbra Streisand. Those are the list of the top selling recording artists of all time. So I thought that was interesting. And again, I question a few things. First of all, Rihanna has got more number one hits than any artist in history. I find it hard to believe that she's not on this list. And then where's Jay-Z? Where's Beyonce? There's some other. So I don't know what calculations they used
I would think
exactly. Adele's another one. Maybe she's not been around long enough, Adele, but you would think she would be on there. But those are some of the best-selling artists of all time. Now, what's the last concert you went to?
Man,
I know you go see Broadway shows, but do you see concerts?
I do. I mean, I don't see as many concerts as I used to. I'm trying to think the last one I saw. Oh, God, was it Billy Joel? Could have been Billy Joel.
We get out there pretty often. Like we saw Timberlake a few weeks ago. He was spectacular. Last year was the year of the woman. We went to see Taylor Swift, Pink, and Beyonce, all at SoFi. And let me see, this summer, we're going to go see Noah Kahan, who's like my favorite artist right now. He's got a big song called Season the Stick. We're going to see him at the Hollywood Bowl. And we're going to go see the Foo Fighters in August at BMO Stadium.
We go to this place in Long Beach where they have a lot of tribute bands.
Okay.
And there was a guy who was a Johnny Cash impersonator.
Oh, yeah?
And I think the name of the band is Cashed Out.
Yeah.
And he was phenomenal. And the band was incredible.
Nice. We go to see, I went to see at the Whiskey, a band called Yachtly Crew.
Oh, yeah.
It's a yacht rock cover band. And we had a blast over there. Did you see any of the pictures from when I went to LAFC and was in the 3252?
Oh, yeah. You were scarfed up and cheering and dancing. And
it was wild, man. It was really, really fun. I would recommend that experience to anybody if you get a chance. It was a blast in there. I feel really bad because there are two groups inside that 3252 that wanted me to go hang out with them. One was the Pride Republic, and it was Pride Night. And the other one was the 420 Originals, the weed group. Inside the third, I never made it over to the weed guys, so now they're very, very upset. So I'm going to go back to a game and watch it with the weed guys, the 420 Originals.
Did you not make it because you smoked too much weed and you couldn't find them?
100%. I said this on the radio yesterday. It's like a big crazy section. I was stoned. I was like, I got to go up there, then around there, then down, and then over. I'm like, there's no friggin' way. There's no way I could do it. So I never made it over, unfortunately. You had something here before you get to Lili.
Well, this is something that came out a while ago, and I think it's a very interesting subject about Nepo babies. Have you heard that term? You know about
sure.
It. So Maya Hawke, who's Ethan Hawke's daughter, has been attacked basically about this. And she was interviewed in the London Times, and she said something about how, what did she said? She said that I never meant to imply that I didn't get the part for nepotistic reasons, which was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But she said, I think I totally did. Like, so she totally embraces the fact that she's been very fortunate to have been brought up in a family with two parents who are major stars.
Yes.
And I kind of feel like that's the roll of the dice. And for her not to be able to capitalize on this, plus the fact she's really good. She's a really, really good actress. And a very, very, something that I remember during my stand-up days is Tom Hanks's brother is a stand-up or was a stand-up. He wasn't great. He looked a lot like Tom Hanks, and you never saw him in anything. Now, if anyone could have cashed in on being a Nepo sibling, you would have thought this guy would have, been right up there with his brother. But he didn't have the goods, so it didn't happen for him.
And there's the point. The point is this. You can't help it if you're a Nepo baby. It's not your fault that you were born into a famous family or to a really successful acting family or sports family. Bronny James is an excellent example of this. I mean, he's clearly a Nepo baby and is going to get a shot at the NBA in part because his dad is LeBron. I think that we should ease off. And you said, if you don't have the goods, look, it'll get you in the door being somebody's son or somebody's brother or somebody, but you won't stick if you're not really, really good. Because in the end, particularly in show business or in sports, they quickly, if you don't have it, you're not going to survive in the business. And so I try not to hold it against anybody that they're born into a famous family. And I don't think anybody really should.
Well, how can you? You can't help. You can't help being born into it or having parents who have connections to you. You think of people that get job interviews or people that I have helped. Like when I was at MTV and I was working on the Osbournes, and it was when I was working on Newlyweds, my girlfriend's niece was looking for a job in post-production as a PA. And she called me up and she said, is there a job there for her? And I said, if there is, she's going to get it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And I got her a job. So why wouldn't you use every avenue possible? And look, she had to step up and be responsible. I remember my friend Nicole, I got her brother a job many, many years ago my brother, worked at, of this very fancy schmancy gourmet store in New York.
Okay.
And
what was it called? Cinderella?
It was, no, it was,
Fairways?
It was Fairway where he was working.
Got it.
And he didn't show up. Like he showed up the first day and then he didn't show up. And my brother had to let him go with like a day.
Yeah, right.
So, anyway, it's in every field that this happens.
And part of me is like, when I see somebody get there easy, there is some part of me that's resentful. There is part of me that's like, God, I had to do all this stuff myself, my dad. Nobody in my family was in the entertainment business. I was in Toledo, Ohio. They're completely, I don't think my dad ever made more than $35,000 a year. And so I did sort of build this career for myself. And I guess it would be easy to be resentful of somebody who just like fell into it. But again, I'm not going to hold it against people who have got an in.
Yeah. And look, you went about it, the hard way, but look at the career you've carved out for yourself. You never would have been, you wouldn't be where you are today if you didn't have the work ethic and the skills that you have and the tenacity that you had. This was something you wanted to do since you were a teenager. So, yeah. I mean,
Well, there's a famous story about Aaron Spelling and Tori Spelling that I think is just the most bullshit story. So get this. So he's starting 90210, Aaron Spelling is. And Tori, his daughter, gets cast in it, in a big role. And afterwards, Tori tells the story that when she went into the casting office, they had no idea who she was. And she ended up getting casted anyway. And I'm like, that is such garbage. Of course they knew you were Tori Spelling. Of course you got cast in it and by the way, she was really good on the show and all that stuff. But the idea that somehow she went in blind and they had no idea I was Tori Spelling, and I still got the part. What a load of crap that is.
Total load of crap. Plus the fact she looks so much like her father.
I know, exactly.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's like that. That's like the famous story with Sofia Coppola, in Godfather 3. There was all this criticism about her. She wasn't supposed to get the part. It was Laura San Giacomo who was
No, it was
supposed to.
Winona Ryder is what I heard.
Oh, it was? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Laura San Giacomo. Anyway, so she gets the part, and she's not very good in it. And everybody was like, oh, God, how could... Well, the movie wasn't that great either, I didn't think. But
I think the movie's better than people think it is.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about the third one. But anyway, so she gets slammed, and then I don't really think she did much after that as an actress, and then she became this phenomenal director. So
amazing director, yeah. Amazing director. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a good example. That's a good example. Because she was awful in that movie. Just absolutely awful.
Yeah.
And she dies at the end. Spoiler alert. She dies at the end on the Opera House steps. And all I could think was, oh, thank God that performance is over. Thank God. Thank God. No, she was overmatched by that. You didn't like Godfather 3, huh? I think Godfather movies are like pizza. Even when they're not that good, they're still pretty good.
Yeah. It just paled in comparison to the
other
two.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. All right, here we go. Our guest today started her career in the beloved romantic comedy Mystic Pizza. Since then, she has starred in films like Say Anything, Dogfight, I Shot Andy Warhol, Household Saints, Shortcuts, and Public Enemies. On television, her projects include 6 Feet Under, American Crime, and Manhunt. And her current role is in the sci-fi western Outer Range. Season 2 is now streaming on Amazon Prime. Lili Taylor joins us. Lili, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Outer Range is just, I mean, I would say it's just like, except I have no idea what it's just like. It's wild. It's a western. It's sci-fi. It's time travel. It's alternate timelines. It's like how would you describe the show to somebody who's never seen it?
Well, that's been the big conundrum, and I feel for PR. I'm glad I'm not in PR because it's a tough one, as we know. I mean, someone just asked me. I said, you know what? It's sci-fi and it's a western. It's grounded and it's wild.
Yeah.
And I play Cecilia. My husband is Josh Brolin. Of course, that's fantastic. You can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
And we run a ranch, and there's a hole on the land, and that's say no more.
and there is like a little quirk in it. It kind of I was describing it kind of like a supernatural Fargo in a way.
That's a good one. I hope that's not trademarked. That's a good one.
No. Okay. We're going with that, and we're taking credit.
I love it.
Yeah, I was thinking it's Yellowstone meets Lost.
Ooh, very good.
See, we've done our homework here,
yeah,
Lili.
You have. None of the cats have said anything like this.
I just have to stop for 1 second just to say one thing. Steve and I were joking about what we were wearing today and saying that, oh God, we're both wearing striped shirt, blue striped shirts. And then I just jokingly said, I wonder what Lili's wearing. And listen, and you're wearing blue striped shirt. It's crazy.
You got the memo.
Okay, what were you going to say, Steve?
I was going to say, you mentioned Josh Brolin, who is such a sturdy leading man in this show. His character Royal is the one who discovers the hole. And here's what I'm curious about. So there are all these alternative timelines and the black dust and all that stuff. As an actor, I know you're not shooting out a sequence, or you are shooting out a sequence. How do you keep straight the timelines in your head as an actor? Is that difficult?
Yeah, that's so interesting. Josh makes fun of me because one of the things I always ask before every scene is, what time is it? So I like to know what time it is right now. And I like to know time is really important to me. And what I've done in the past is I've done calendars for characters. I've done I've done charts. And so in this, what I do is I do like an 𝐈𝐧𝐭𝐞𝐫𝐯 outer range. And then in this one, what was interesting, especially in the first season, I was like, wait a minute, this all takes place in 7 days? Are you kidding me? And I was like, so I wrote down, I'm like, as a daily calendar, like, okay, today my son went in a hole. My granddaughter disappeared. I was like, this is all that happens today. You're kidding. And so anyway, so I wrote it down and I was like, yeah, well, no, my granddaughter disappeared at 4 p.m. It's 8 p.m. now. And then tomorrow that's really important to me, actually. So I make a calendar and each day is just packed on this show.
I'm sure.
Something that I noticed, and I noticed it right off the bat, and I'm sure pretty much everybody does, is that it's shot with very dark lighting and shadows. A lot of the inside scenes and outside as well, but inside it's very dark. And you kind of put your head to the side. So is that something that you weren't aware of while it was being shot?
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Because I was wondering if this reflects this type of the way it was shot reflects kind of the nature of the show.
I'm sure, I wish I was in on those meetings, with all the department heads and, and hearing how they're all coming together and envisioning the show together. And I mean, I hadn't realized it because, first of all, it's hard for me to articulate lighting, like, because it's not my language. Like, I might have a sense of something, but I don't know. But you just articulated it for me. Oh, that's the feeling I'm getting when I'm watching the show, like the interiors.
I want to ask you a follow-up to that. So when you see an episode of something you've been working on for the first time, how do you react? Because you remember shooting it, but when you see it all put together with the music that they play and the editing, are sometimes you like, oh my God, I can't believe that's what they did with what we did with the footage.
Yeah, I felt that on Outer Range. When I saw the first one, I thought, this is... I texted Charles, the creator, and I just was like, you did it. You did it, man. All of it is coming together. And I had no idea you were choosing such cool music. I didn't know you were going to cut it like this, or that it was the story was going to, evolve like that. And he did it. I was so proud of him.
I think one of the things that black dust is really interesting in the show. And I think at some point Josh's character, Royal, says that it gives you the power to see into time without actually traveling in time. Do you think I have that right?
Oh, nice. You're like Rachel Maddow, and Rachel Maddow's like, did I get that right? Yeah, you did get that right. And again, it's so nice talking about this because, first of all, I don't talk about the show a lot unless I'm in an interview. Right? So it's so nice kind of getting reflected back some of the, your insights. So I hadn't thought of that. What a lovely thing. So you don't have to travel anywhere. You can just go in your imagination, which is nice because obviously traveling somewhere, it impacts things.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's so nice. Wow. I didn't know he said that. Did he say that to the scientist?
I think he did say it to I'm trying to sort it out in my head. I think he said it to the scientist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't travel.
I don't.
You don't.
Oh, and I don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Now, as your character, I mean, these are major secrets that have been kept from you by your husband, and not only your husband, but, other people who have been privy to what has been going on. How do you reconcile, as your character, reconcile being left out of such important information, and forgiveness to your husband?
Well, she's older now, and she reached a bottom with her faith. When you reach a bottom, well, now you can be open in a different way. And so with that happening, I think she was able to really get that it's not personal. that it is what it is, no blame. And what are we going to do now, going forward? If he were to continue to keep secrets, now it's a different story. But it's not personal, but it will get personal.
We've talked about the time travel part of the show, and I'm wondering if you, on some level, believe that time travel is possible, could be possible, might be possible in the future. How do you feel about time travel? Is it real?
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to ask that right before you did, because I was thinking, gosh, why is time travel so, like, we talk about it as a society, like we seem to like things where there's time traveling, And I thought, what is it? I guess, no, I don't think about it, actually. I don't think about going back, and I don't think about going forward. I don't know why. It kind of overwhelms me, I guess. Like afterlife, all that stuff just kind of overwhelms me. But I guess in terms of, like, I don't have regrets, really. I wonder, is part of time travel like wanting to repair things, or regret, or I don't know, or just curiosity, or, like, I would like to go visit what it was like at the beginning of time.
Right.
I would like to feel like when we started walking erect, for instance. Like, I would like to see what that's like, but not like so that I could redo something. I don't know. Why do you think we like to time travel?
Well, I mean, I was just talking to Sue before you got here about my grandfather. Said years and years ago, he's passed away since. He said, have you got one of those stars in Hollywood? I was like, oh, that's really sweet. No, I don't have one, Grandpa. He said,
okay.
He said, when you get one, I'll be there. And I was like, now that's not time travel, but there's this idea that, I don't know, things overlap, one reality overlaps with the, and I just have the sense that if anybody ever pays that money to get me that star, that my grandfather will actually be there in spirit, I think.
Right. I guess to me, that's almost like not time travel, but like something else that's hard to describe.
Yes.
Like that's more like physics or Einstein, or like realities overlapping and what's reality, and that stuff intrigues me.
Like there are times, and this actually happened to my sister years ago. My mother had passed away, and in the Jewish religion, we light a candle called the 𝐈𝐧𝐭𝐞𝐫𝐯 candle on the anniversary of the death. And my sister had and the candle, it's in this glass that's, like this high, it's like maybe 5 inches high, and it's very thick glass, and the candle doesn't go out. It just burns through the life of the candle. And my sister was sitting in her house, and she said to my mom, give me a sign. And the candle went out.
Oh.
So that kind of stuff, I mean, I know that's not time travel either, but is that bizarre? Is it coincidence that the candle just went out at that moment? Or, that's like Ouija board kind of stuff,
Right. And sometimes those questions, like, you stand next to the mystery, and not even try to answer it, but just stand next to it,
Yeah. On the time travel thing, I always think of butterfly effect. If we were to go back and change something, it would change everything. Just one little thing would change everything. That's why I never think about going back and changing anything, because I don't want to see the universe unravel. And I have a feeling that would happen, at least individually, to my life if I went back and changed something.
I'm with you. That's what overwhelms me too. I mean, Back to the Future really played with that.
Sure.
And it was so intense at the end when he had to get back and he didn't. And I love watching it. It's fun to think about, but I would never want to be in that position.
I just have to interject a very, very funny joke that a comedian girlfriend of mine told years ago. She was talking about, she has a lot of jokes about Hitler, and she was talking about that she wishes that she could have met Hitler because she thinks that she would have been able to change the course of history, because maybe he never met the right Jew.
On
All
that
right,
note.
that's all, folks. I'll be here
Yeah,
I'll be here all interview.
Yeah. So, there's one, the show is very, Sue mentioned, there are dark themes, dark elements, all that kind of stuff. And then there's one character who I love on the show. It's Billy Tillerson, who's played by Noah Reid, who's just like, he was a big part of Schitt's Creek. And the fact that he's always singing, he does, like, in season 1, he does a great version of Whitney Houston, I Have Nothing, which is sort of in the background. The fact that he's always singing brings something unique and something light to the show when it kind of needs something light, right?
That's right. I love Noah, and we all love Billy. I mean, Billy is there were like, Josh made some t-shirts about that character, some of his lines made it to the t-shirt, Billy there's no one like Billy. I mean, what a character. I love it. He's so out there, and Noah's so sweet.
I want to ask you about working with Josh, being an executive producer on the show, working opposite your co-star, who has a big part, as an executive. What is he like? Does he show his? Did he show his executive producer hand a lot? I mean, how involved was he during shoots?
Oh, well, Josh is great, and he's a great producer, and he's really good at changing hats. He's really good about, he's a great leader, but he doesn't throw it around. Like, his trailer was like more like an Elvis Presley trailer, like, whereas we all had like little smaller trailers. And like, I would give him shit about it all the time, and he could, he got it. He laughed. He would never, like, he's cool. He's really cool, and we can give him shit when it's necessary.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I want to circle back around to Outer Range, but can I ask about some of your other work over the years?
Yeah.
So one of your first movies was Mystic Pizza. And I'm wondering, and it's an all-time classic. You're so good in it. When you're making that movie, did you have a sense that you were doing something that would potentially be a classic? And also, you were working with Julia Roberts. Could you tell that she had stardom in her future?
Yeah. So no and yes. No, we had no idea. I thought it was kind of silly or something. I didn't think it was going to work. And yes to Julia, because that's that je ne sais quoi thing. It's who the hell knows what it is. But she had it, and it was a matter of time. And in fact, I think we had a coffee after we finished filming, and then she said, "Yeah, I'm going to go do this movie called Pretty Woman." Yeah,
that worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, actually, Roger Ebert wrote that Mystic Pizza may someday become known for the movie stars it showcased back before they became stars.
Wow.
So he knew it. He knew it. So what was your relationship with Annabeth Gish and Julia Roberts like? Did you guys click immediately?
We did actually. Which is, doesn't always happen, because with casting, it's like, you're just sort of put together like blind dates, you know what I mean? And it sometimes doesn't work. This did work. I guess, and I think maybe why it has stood the test of time is there is a purity about it, and there was something very kind of innocent and sweet about the relationship. And it was all new. And so no one had shit yet. No one had stuff. So we were all open and just having fun. And it really was.
Such a sweet movie. Movie.
Exactly.
So you appeared in Robert Altman's Shortcuts, which is another classic. 1993, huge talented cast. What was it like working with and being directed by the legendary Robert Altman?
I love Bob, and I knew that it was important working with him, and I knew it was like an education. And he loved teaching. He loved sharing. One of his things he would do is for dailies, back when we would all see dailies, and when it was on like film, we would be in like a little theater, and he would have popcorn, and everyone was invited, and it was a party. But the cool thing about Bob was it was a party, but I also realized like that was part of what his thing was throwing a party, everyone's relaxed, and they don't know what he's doing. It's actually quite not like manipulating, but there's a reason why he's throwing such a fun party, and why everybody's individually mic'd, and why the camera can find itself, like it had its own marks, so that everybody's relaxed. But then he carefully puts somebody over there. He puts someone over there. He says, "Oh, why don't you go talk to Lily over there?" And he knows exactly. And I said, "Oh, okay," and I don't know what that's like. Oh, I see what he's doing. He's so smart. Yeah. And so then when
no, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When he said to do pret-a-porter, I was like, I love Bob. I would do anything,
I know that he's a big proponent of improv and encourages actors to do that. Is that a bonus for an actor to have a director like that?
It can depend, actually. It can get out of hand sometimes if everybody has free reign, the actors, and if the director is sort of too nice to everybody. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, it's like it's the actors, the lunatics are running the asylum, But I think improv during rehearsal is really important. And some improv when we're shooting is important, but there's got to be, for me, there has to be some sort of boundaries or constraint, or it can go off the rails.
I would think it would make you maybe lose where you are, because, you're used to being cued, like with what you're going to say. So if someone is constantly going off script, I can see it would be a mess.
I think it's a great means to exploring something that you may not know or understand. Like, for instance, if Josh and I were going to do an improv about buying the ranch together, there might have been something interesting in that would have helped us understand more about something. So for that, yeah.
So my mom's side of the family is Italian, the Santa Croce's, 6th Avenue, Altoona, Pennsylvania. So I loved Household Saints, which is about 3 generations of Italian women. And it reminded me of my family, deep Catholic faith. And I'm wondering how you guys went about capturing that kind of multi-generational Italian Catholic family that resonated so much.
Yeah, it's so funny because that was just it was what's the refurbished?
Remastered?
Yeah, not more than that. It was like, that great company, the MoMA festival, when they have the films that have, like, there was like one fucked up, reel, and they they fix it. I'm blanking on the term. And it's but a few companies do it. And it's so cool. A few of my films have had that happen because they were like damaged. They were like, there was like one reel left. Household Saints, that was done. It was so cool. And I just saw it again. And I was sitting with Tracy. It was so fun. Tracy Ullman. Nancy's Italian, 𝐒𝐤𝐥𝐢. Francine Prose is not, but had done, knew what she was doing when she wrote the novel. But I think it's really Nancy's Italian, and Nancy knowing the generational thing that she's gotta thread that, and I loved that. It's so specific. That's so cool. That's what that.
Yeah, that was definitely my family growing up sort of experience, which was captured there in that movie. Okay. Maybe your most complex character, and I saw this movie recently, is I Shot Andy Warhol. And you play Valerie, who actually is the one who shoots Andy Warhol. And tell me about the layers that you created, because this is someone who's a little delusional. It's someone who kind of Tell me about putting that Valerie character together.
That was a really great experience because Mary Herron comes from documentary. She had done a lot of research. There was nothing really written about Valerie Solanas. She was in 2 books and only like 62 to 64. And, it's like there was nothing on her. So it was really creating this character that said was real. And, it was interesting because I couldn't like imagine her eating cereal, which like if it's hard when you can't imagine a character sort of being really huge. Shush, stop, dog, Chihuahua.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Got one back here.
When you can't imagine a character sort of doing an everyday thing, for me, that concerns me. And it was the night before shooting, this thing came to me, clear vision in a crippled psyche. And I really liked that because it felt like it was like a linchpin to hold all of her contradictions, a clear vision in a crippled psyche. And, you know, she's a paranoid schizophrenic. And I actually use the DSMV or DSM, whatever, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual I've pulled that out with characters sometimes because it's really helpful. Because it's like, it helps me understand why they're doing what they're doing. And when someone's doing something because they're mentally ill versus when it's a personality disorder versus when they just suck, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so there's the mental illness, and then there's this other stuff. And when is what going on? And so you're able to sort of discern the character and maybe, I don't know, she was very complicated and she wore me out. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew I needed to protect myself from her because even people in real life who met her, she'd swallow you up, you know, she'd kill you. I mean,
yeah.
And so I had to be careful playing her.
Wow. So how long does something like that stay with you? It's a question I've asked other actors when they're playing these characters that are polarizing or just so troubled in a way that it in order to play them, you have to be them. So,
it's real.
So what is there like a period where you just have to just like decompress to just kind of like get rid of the demon of who they are inside of you?
Well, you know, originally the masks were used by the Greeks not just to be heard, but to protect the actor from the character. And so they had rituals to help them transfer. It's theater. There's a lot more rituals in theater, not as many with film and TV. So I've had to find some rituals to kind of help return to myself because it is real. I mean, that's what actors do. It's a paradox. It's how can you not go where they go? It's just, how can you not? It's just, I remember I was doing this scene from Arizona Dream. The character had attempted suicide we'd been filming it all day. She was attempting suicide for 12 hours. And then that happened to a friend and they were like, you sound down. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just down. And they were like, well, what did you do today? I'm like, I just did this. I attempted suicide all day. I did this scene all day. And it's like, oh, wow. I didn't even know, you know, it's like,
wow.
And so that's just what it is. It's
yeah.
like,
Right.
You know?
Wow.
I love it.
Steve.
So you did this is a true story. You made a movie called The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Which was a gigantic blockbuster horror film. And I didn't see it in theaters. And I was like, okay, my partner and I, we're going to watch it at home. And so we put this movie on and I got so worked up and nervous and scared that I said, and it wasn't very far into the movie, I said, you've got to turn this off. I can't deal with the dread that goes along with this. And I've not watched a horror movie since. It was the beginning of and I'm like, I can't go back and watch horror movies. Now, do you watch scary movies?
I love them. And I love I screamed a few times. And I love being scared. I like it. But though for people who don't like scary movies, I say don't see it.
Yeah. Oh, it got to me. To me.
Yeah, I bet it did. I bet. James Wan is good.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
So when you're doing a horror movie, does the director ever do something that you don't know he's going to do, or ask a fellow actor to do something that you're not prepared for to really catch you off guard and really get your reaction just in the moment?
No. And I'm glad because I don't need that. I can
You don't need your director to say boo.
Ooh, I can get there. I mean, if they want to, and it's within good faith, like, okay. But there have been directors in the past that have done that stuff that's not very in good faith, and it gets into weird shit, Yeah, but no, James didn't do that.
Yeah.
I just don't know how any actors do horror movies, because when I was a kid, I'm the youngest of 5, and I have 3 older brothers, and one of my brothers used to come into my bedroom that I shared with my sister almost every night as the mummy.
Sure.
And he used to come like over to my bed, in the dark. And I knew it was my brother, but it scared the shit out of me every time.
So I want to finish on Outer Range. So your character, she's got a deep faith, and you said she hit rock bottom at some point in her faith. And we're seeing, again, through the whole, we're seeing the future and alternate timelines. It feels like a lot of the show, it feels like predestination. It feels like there's like a predetermined, here's where we're going, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. Do you believe in predestination?
No, I think there's fate in a way, but I don't believe in determinism or whatever, predestination.
Yeah.
Again, that doesn't make me feel good, because it makes me feel like I don't have any agency.
Right. So if everything's planned out, it's like you have no free will.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you?
I believe man has free will.
Yeah.
I think we can change our future at any moment. I don't think we're stuck with whatever script was written for. Yeah, life is not like a movie. I don't believe there's a script that we're following. I believe it's improv.
That's right.
Life is improv. I kind of like that line. Yeah.
That's right. Yes, and.
Exactly. Hey, Lili, we love having you on. Thank you so much. Love talking about Outer Range. Love talking about the rest of your career. You've got such an amazing career, and thanks for sharing some time with us.
Thank you, guys. It was great.
There you have it, Lili Taylor, and she has had just an amazing career. A lot of great indie films at the beginning of her, then more mainstream stuff. And we actually just saw her. She played Mary Todd Lincoln in Manhunt, which we just watched not long ago with Matt Walsh coming on the show. Very, very delightful. And the show is very, very weird. It is a weird show.
It is. Like when I first started watching it, I was like, oh my God. It kind of had like a little bit of a Sugar feel to it, because you knew something was off and something was going to hit the fan, but you just didn't know what it was going to be.
Yeah. Outer Range is streaming now on Prime. Season 1 and Season 2 are available now. Go check it out. It's fascinating stuff. Hey, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star rating and a review. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe to the Culture Pop Podcast channel. We appreciate that. So it's great seeing you, and we will see everybody next time on the Culture Pop Podcast.